Well, hi again, once again, everybody. Welcome to another exciting, informative, interesting edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers, and there's been a lot of stuff going on in the world of golf, and we're going to discuss that with one of our favorite guests, gentleman that should be familiar to you. He's been on a number of times. We love having him on. Mr. Larry Klayman. And if you don't know about Larry, Larry is an attorney at law, been practicing law for many years. Larry founded Judicial Watch in 1944, but I know that's not right, when he left to pursue political office. Larry has become very involved with both the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour with respect to litigation. We'll get into that a little bit. He has his own podcast as well, does very well, very informed as far as what's going on in the world of golf. That's why we love having him on the show. And we're going to talk about some issues that have been widely reported, have gotten a lot of press. Some of it's controversial, some of it's not. But we're gonna ferret that out. I don't know what that word ferret means, but I just love saying it. But anyway, let's welcome our special guest, Mr. Larry Klayman. Larry, thanks for taking time out, because I know you're busy as hell all the time.
My pleasure, Dennis.
To be on the show. When did you leave Judicial Watch? I know I got it written down wrong.
In 2003, I left on September 19th to run for the U.S. Senate in Florida in the Republican primary.
Right.
I didn't win, and I came out and I started Freedom Watch, which I run today.
Right.
And people can read about that, and we hope they'll contribute to our cause. We try to keep the government, I used to say honest, now we say less dishonest. They can go to freedomwatchusa.org. FreedomWatchUSA.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, I'm going to start off with all charges were dropped.
Well, we're talking about Scottie Scheffler.
Right.
Okay. And look, he's probably a very nice guy. I don't know him. And I don't mean to cast no aspersions in some ways. But there had to have been something there. And, he is a very important person in the golf world.
Yeah.
And he, what they do in the media, in the golf media, they build you up into becoming a god. They want to do this for a variety of different people, whether it's Scottie Scheffler or Rory McIlroy or Tiger Woods or whoever. And I suspect what happened is that he was in a rush to get to the golf course. He has been told that he's a very important person.
Yep.
And number one golfer in the world. He ran over a medium. He didn't listen to the cop, and he got charged. And he was obviously overcharged with what happened. But in the course of a week and a half or whatever, they worked it out because very important people generally aren't held accountable. But I don't think he committed a felony. And, what he did, probably he did without thinking. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
And but this is typical because this is what the PGA Tour does. It's not terribly truthful. I have a lawsuit against it in Florida.
Right.
And it, won stars right now because most of its good players have gone to LIV, frankly, at least the ones that have personality. And, consequently, I think basically, there was something there.
Yeah.
That's why it didn't get immediately dismissed. But this is typical of the PGA Tour. Now, another thing that's going on now is the death of this young golfer. I forget his name, Dennis.
Grayson Murray, yeah.
Grayson Murray, yeah. And, he committed suicide.
Yeah.
And that's
terrible.
Very sad. And it's very, he left a fiancée behind. Seems like a very nice gal who, is very religious and was bringing him to Jesus and God. But the PGA Tour doesn't mention any of that. The family had to say that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, to commit suicide, if you're Christian or Jewish or whatever, is a sin. And it basically is the easy way out in many ways.
Yeah.
So, we can feel bad for him, and it's a terrible tragedy. But, to not even mention that it was suicide, the PGA Tour was prone to cover things up.
Uh-huh.
Again, tries to create a god out of somebody who, frankly, had a lot of issues, basically. And I think that's wrong. You should basically tell the truth and tell it like it is. His family did, and I feel very bad for his family, and I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are many times in someone's life when you hit a down period where that thought may cross your mind. It doesn't mean that you should go ahead and do it and leave people behind that you love, because that is not the act of someone who is courageous, frankly.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well said. And the commissioner came out right afterwards and just kind of stretched things and said, yeah, I've had conversations with him over the prior 2 years about some mental illness and about drinking and this and that and the other, and try to give him good advice and coach him and all of that stuff. And you don't know what's believable and what's not believable, because he's just trying to smooth things over for sake of the tour.
Well, Monahan has already proven not to be a very honest person. I mean, even his own tour players don't trust him anymore. And, this is what they're doing, because they're having a hard time with keeping golfers to stay on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
And, Grayson Murray was a big loss. He was a great talent. They don't have him anymore. And, that's where we are today. So, but they continue, the PGA Tour, with using certain members of the golf media to try to harm LIV, which obviously, is a competitor to them today.
Yeah.
And they're very sensitive about their position in terms of what the golf world and fans are seeing. Viewership is 20% down, apparently, on the Golf Channel, NBC, CBS, and ESPN. So they're covering things up, to not show the real problems. Now, inside of the PGA Tour, you not only have this issue between LIV and the PGA Tour, and of course, I have an antitrust case down in Palm Beach,
Right.
over the suspensions and the fines and everything else that were levied in restraint of trade against LIV and its golfers. But the reality is that the PGA Tour is very fearful, and so is its sister network, its partner, Golf Channel and these other channels, that LIV will procure a major TV deal. And frankly, watching LIV is more entertaining these days, with not just with the teams, but with the players. Look at players like, my client Patrick Reed,
Yeah.
who has a personality. He's Captain America. He doesn't let all of the defamation and everything bother him. He just marches on. Bryson DeChambeau, great personality. Brooks Koepka, Sergio Garcia, Lee Westwood. I mean, I can go on and on and on.
Many.
These LIV players they're human, okay? And the players that remained largely on the PGA Tour, they're like robots, okay? Is that they don't have a personality, most of them. And maybe they will, maybe they'll develop that over time, but they don't have it currently.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
So all of this stuff is going on, and it creates an incentive by the PGA Tour to not tell the truth to golf fans about what really is happening. And then, of course, as a segue, we have the retirement of Lexi Thompson.
Right.
We'll probably play some. Now, I got to tell you an interesting story there. Actually, my impression of her, I have a very favorable impression of her. She looks like she's a very sensitive person. I've never met her. But, she has some emotional issues for whatever reason. Maybe she blew a couple tournaments in the last few years with her putting or whatever. People jumped on her and whatever. She was a golfer on the LPGA Tour at the age of 13. Unbelievable. She's only 29.
Yeah.
Last year, when I was a monitor at the U.S. Women's Open, I love women's golf. I actually enjoy watching them more than the men in many ways. A, they're better looking, and B, their swings are closer to mine.
Yeah.
Or an amateur, a low handicap amateur. And frankly, they're great. But I was watching her on the 6th tee at Pebble Beach. That's where I was on last year's U.S. Open. And she was standing behind Nelly Korda and some Asian American female golfer, I forget her name. And she was very quiet and looked very emotionally troubled at the time. My heart went out to her. And she wasn't playing terribly well. That may have been a factor too at the time. But she must have seen what went on with Grayson, and probably said, I'm not suicidal or anything, but this is not the life I want.
Yeah.
And I want to get married. I want to have kids, and it's a very, very tough life on both the LPGA Tour, the PGA Tour, and even
Right.
the
Yeah.
tournaments. And they can be with their family. Generally, their families travel with them. But it is hard. And I remember, in addition, about a year or so ago, I went out to Wilshire Country Club in Los Angeles. I was going to put on a charity for first responders and the Ukraine, the military in the
Right.
Ukraine and others. And I was inviting some of the female golf pros to play. And I walked over to them on a Wednesday, when they were practicing, when they weren't under the pressure of the tournament. And I remember how friendly, particularly, the Asian female golfers were. Some of them couldn't speak great English, like Nasa Haitaoka couldn't speak English. And some of them just gravitated to the fact that I would take the time to talk to them.
Talk to them, yeah.
They're lonely. It's a lonely existence, particularly for a woman on the LPGA Tour. And, probably in particular for those that are straight, it's probably lonely. And most of them are. Most of them are.
Yeah. I got to tell you, Lexi, I think Lexi had the best set of legs on tour. Great gal,
no,
beautiful.
She's very attractive.
Beautiful.
She's a very attractive girl. And she looks like she has a really good heart.
Yeah.
And I know that Patrick's coach, Kevin Kirk, coached her in
Yeah.
her early career.
Mhm.
I have a very favorable impression of her. And she started sobbing at the press conference. And you can understand. I mean, she's lonely and she feels
Yeah.
isolated. Look, Matt Wolff on the LIV Tour is going through similar things, emotional issues, being out there all alone. And it's very difficult. You have to travel nearly every week.
Right.
You're not with your family.
Right.
If you're single, you really don't have time to develop relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus,
But
Larry.
I'll tell you a funny story too.
Yeah.
Went out to the Phoenix. I remember his name now. Went out to the Phoenix Open a couple of years ago, and I was on a tee. I usually try to find a place that there aren't too many people so I can watch, because I want to learn from watching the pros. And there was Dylan Fratelli there. Okay, he's South African. He has
Yes.
a name, and I had to laugh because there was a very attractive girl that was holding the sign, with the scores, and going around with him. And he went over to her. I was standing right there, and he said, "Would you like an autographed version of my putter cover?" And so she didn't say anything. He went back and he signed it, and he said, "Well, I really would like you to have this, right?" So I said to her in jest, I said, "Look at the other side. Is his phone number on there?"
Yeah. No,
Because
that's
nothing
no.
wrong with that. The
No,
guy's
not,
single.
not at all.
Wrong.
Not at all. That's a great story.
But it's a very lonely existence.
Yeah, and Larry, I got to think, plus traveling, the mental wear and tear. You're saying no family, it's lonely. Plus, Larry, the pressure that these guys have every time they tee it up to play well has got to be a factor too.
What strikes me too, I've never seen this in sports except in golf, is that some of these pros, when they win, actually break down in tears. They start crying. And that's because it is such a tough life.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to win on any tour. And it's become increasingly hard to win on LIV, even though they have 54 golfers.
Right.
The strength of the field on LIV,
Strong.
per capita, is much stronger than the PGA Tour today. It's harder to win on LIV than it is on the PGA Tour, particularly since it's 54 holes. So you got to come out of the chute really quickly to have a chance to win. You cannot screw up.
Pedal to the metal.
Yeah, pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. And,
it's hard.
And I've gotten to know a lot about professional golf. Thanks also to Justine Reed, Patrick's wife, who taught me a lot since I became more involved in professional golf and became, part of the golf industry, as well as doing my legal matters at Freedom Watch and in my private practice, which, by the way, private practice, I also represent Patrick in defamation cases in Jacksonville. But, it's a fascinating and difficult life.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, because golf, lasts a lifetime, and growing so quickly.
And it pays well. It pays well.
and it pays well, yeah. And but it is a very interesting situation.
All right. Larry, hang on. We got to step away. We're going to take our first short break. And when we come back with more of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers, we'll have more with our special guest, Mr. Larry Klayman. So stay with us. We're back right after this.
Innovation begins at a single point. Elements, each with their unique character. Fire-forged steel creates unprecedented control. Chemistry delivers a touch so soft, combined to create a level of performance previously unimagined. Like magic, the Elixir, the new tour ball from Encore.
Looking to elevate your golf game to the next level? Introducing True Score Golf, your ultimate companion for mastering the greens and feeling your best while doing it. True Score is more than just a score tracker. It's a brand dedicated to your mental and physical well-being on the course. True Score is the first and only company to offer a full line of premium wellness products for golfers. Crafted with the cleanest, most sustainable ingredients, True Score wellness products keep your body performing on and off the course. Feel better, play better with True Score Golf. Elevate your game and well-being with True Score Golf. Visit online today at truescoregolf.com.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to the continuation of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers, having a great chat with our special guest, Mr. Larry Klayman. Larry, let me ask you this. There are a lot of pinhead sports writers out there, especially some golf writers. When is the tour going to step up, if ever, and clamp down on these guys for writing garbage, for writing mistruths, for making up stuff? The tour ought to do something about that.
Well, and that was one of the reasons why Patrick Reed, of course, Patrick, I call him, he's my friend and my client, left the PGA Tour. They don't stand up for their players, generally speaking. In Patrick's case, it was security at various events or hecklers that were, on his case and disrupting his game, but also the golf media. I mean, they are groupies. That's what they are. They suck up to the establishment to get interviews with these golfers. They're not terribly bright, frankly. I mean, some of them are, like Chambly, who, in my view, is just simply evil, Randall Chambly, and, or Eamon Lynch or others. They just have evil intent, is what I mean. And, they don't stand up for their players, and that's a problem. But it's also cheap journalism, and you see it, in the political world. You have your show, Pick Your Politics, which, deals with these things. Look at what goes on between the cable networks. You can't believe it on any of them. I don't care if it's MSNBC or CNN, or for that matter, frequently even Fox, although ideologically I'm closer to Fox. I don't take it hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. And then it's cheap journalism because they don't want to do any homework, so they just cop what someone else wrote. But you know what? That is actionable. And let this be a message for those that are continuing to go after Patrick Reed with, excuse the French, bullshit from the past that was made up about cheating and about, what happened at the University of Georgia, etc. These people will be held accountable. And they don't think they're going to be held accountable. There's a publication out there right now, Essentially Sports, that comes out of India that resurrected a lot of this stuff. I just sent them a letter yesterday putting them on notice. They have 5 days to retract it or they'll be sued. And they think they're immune because they're in India.
Right.
Well, they're not. I can sue them here if Patrick decides to do it. They trashed him on stuff which is totally false. And there is a judgment enforcement treaty, international, between the United States and India. So you can even enforce the judgment overseas or here as well. So you're not immune from this. So these writers should be on notice that when they seek to destroy someone professionally and personally, they will be held accountable.
Yeah, I think they have the mentality, Larry, like even, with our local news stations, good stories aren't that exciting. They like, the horrific stories, the not good stories gets more viewer interest. And I think that's the way these golf writers have the same mentality. Why should I write something good? That's going to be boring. I'm not going to get
Unless
as many readers.
unless you're a Rory McIlroy or Tiger Woods, okay? Then
Yeah,
yes,
true. Good point.
look,
Good point.
I'm not going to say anything negative about Rory on litigation. He's going to be deposed, etc. I'll be respectful to him. But there's more to this story about the divorce than Amanda Balionis. Okay, there's more to it, and that is not coming out. Or
Yeah.
Tiger Woods. I mean, I know a lot about Tiger Woods at this point, and the Tiger Woods you see in public is not the Tiger Woods behind closed doors.
Yeah, it
But
just
I'll be respectful.
yeah. Well, you always are, and that's why you're a professional. And it just seems that things need to change. They have to have a standard. I don't know whether the tour can impose a standard or what, but between trashing players and trashing the LIV Tour, you think they already learned, Larry? LIV Tour is here, man. Okay, people are
Well,
gravitating to it, so why fight it?
here's the way they're doing it now. Okay, we've got litigation pending. It's on appeal. Calling people takers of blood money,
Right,
terrorist sympathizers, murderers. Okay,
right,
Randall Chambly called the LIV players murderers. Okay, after they lost in a preliminary injunction proceeding in California. They're not doing that now because they want the Saudi money. Okay, so they backed off. But the Saudis are very smart people, and they understand where the PGA is coming from and where the investors are coming from. But here's the thing: this is the way they're now continuing to defame LIV and its players. They pick on someone like John Rahm, okay, who went over to LIV, and they
right.
say, "Oh, he's a traitor. Oh, he did this, he did that. He wasn't true to what he stood for." And or other comments about Phil Mickelson,
Right.
or Sergio Garcia, knocking them down for other reasons. And that's what they're doing now. It's a bit more subtle, but it is still intended to damage the LIV brand, and they're doing it through these golf writers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, John Rahm, in my view, didn't perform well at the Masters because, he said there, this is also quite revealing. He said, I still feel like I'm a member of the PGA Tour. He is. He's still a member of he did not resign, and he's simply on suspension right now.
Right.
And you should, as an independent contractor, he should be able to play both LIV and the PGA Tour. Same, for Patrick, he was constructively terminated by the PGA Tour. So they get on his case for that, and these golfers are, go after them. They get someone in the report.
Yeah.
How dare John Wong say he's still a member? John Rahm, still a member of the PGA Tour. He should be banned from coming back because he went to LIV and he's making $600 million in 10 years. They're just jealous of him.
Oh, boy.
And that had to upset him at the Masters. The fact that he has not played well at the Masters and the PGA Championship is probably because, of them going after him in
Yeah.
front of his fellow pros. And it upsets him. He's a human being.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I get asked all the time, well, not all the time, but frequently, there ever going to be an agreement between the tour and LIV like people are talking about? They're going to have to do some agreement, some merger, work out a schedule, maybe cross events. I don't know.
I don't see a merger. I always said from day one, because I am an antitrust lawyer, among other things, as a young lawyer, I helped break up the AT&T monopoly during the Reagan administration. And the concentration of a merger would be too great to have the antitrust division, however corrupt the Justice Department is in today's world. And in fact, the Biden Justice Department, is against, and these leftists on Capitol Hill, like Senator Blumenthal from Connecticut. They hate the Saudis, okay? And Biden has disparaged the Saudis in the past. And he's had to go over there to the Crown Prince and get down on his knees and kiss his ring, to hopefully get some oil, because he doesn't want to pump oil here, because
Right.
he's trying to promote electric vehicles and
Right.
so-called clean energy, which is, in my view, a worthless enterprise at this time and is hurting the economy. But that being said, is that, there will never be a merger, period. There'll never be a
Okay.
merger. But what they
Okay.
will probably come up with is them being able to compete, at certain events like the American Football League and the National Football
Right.
League. Maybe there'll be a Super Bowl, among teams
Yeah.
or players, and that would be good. And they're trying to figure out how to do that right now. But LIV is here to stay, and it's not going away. I didn't
Yeah.
mean that as a crime, but it is.
Yeah.
It's not going away. But what they're also trying to do, Dennis, is they continue to try to scare sponsors from LIV and the teams. It's very difficult for LIV to get sponsors, and there isn't. Frankly, there's a conspiracy to do that among the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour, and it has hurt LIV a great deal, and that's part of my antitrust case down
Yeah.
in Palm Beach.
And that's a good one. All right, let me ask you this before we take our next break. This group that put in of billionaires, team owners, this $3 billion to the tour, do you think how much influence do you think they have, Larry, with the commissioner and other people as far as what actions the tour is taking?
Currently, probably not that much.
Okay.
That's pennies in their pocket compared to what we
Yeah.
have in our pocket.
Yeah.
But Lucas Glover, a nearly senior golfer, he's still excellent on the PGA
Yeah.
Tour. He does have a personality, Lucas Glover. He said, I think it was about a week ago, he said, "This is complete stupidity. Why are you having golfers negotiate business deals? They should be playing golf. You need businessmen to do it." But
Right.
unfortunately for the PGA Tour, certain golfers have taken over. I'll be deposing them, believe me. Patrick Cantlay, Justin Thomas, a whole slew of them that sit on the player advisories board, and they're in control. And frankly, according to Lucas Glover, and I would agree with him, they're out of their league, so to speak. They're not businessmen.
Right.
And on the other side of the coin, the players don't trust Monahan, so he's kind of been frozen out too. And then you had Jimmy Dunn quit
Right.
a week or so ago. He said, "There's no reason for me to be here because
To
they
be
don't
here,
listen to me."
right?
Yeah, these people are out of control. These golfers that think all of a sudden they're geniuses of the business world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
the PGA Tour is self-destructing from within, and then you have the younger golfers who are up and coming. They're frozen out by and large to the elevated events that are offering $20 million a purse, $4 million to win. They match LIV in that regard, and they're saying, why are these other players like Rory McIlroy and the others like Tiger Woods, although he's not really able to perform that well anymore because of his health, but why are they allowed to try to win $4 million and we're shut out?
We're shut out,
So
right?
there's this internal division inside
Yeah.
the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
And the reason they're doing that, the elevated events, is because the sponsors want the top golfers all in the same place to hold the
Absolutely.
viewership
Right.
and to get a return on their investment. Many sponsors have quit. American Express, I believe, has quit. Others have quit. Wells Fargo quit because they can't get the top players to compete against themselves on the PGA Tour anymore. So they are self-destructing. And LIV, meanwhile, is chugging along, little by little and gaining steam. And watch what happens after. I can't speak for it. I don't represent LIV, but this is just my perception. Watch what happens after this season. They'll be getting a lot of other top PGA Tour players to come over to LIV.
They're all thinking about it. It's got a lot of advantages to it. Anyway, Larry, hang on. We're going to step away again, take another short break. We come back, we'll finish up with our special guest, attorney Larry Klayman. Be right back. One of the perks about being in golf media is that I get to try every club ever made. Of course, like most things, some are better than others. I'm here to tell you that I have found unquestionably the absolute best performing set of irons I have ever played, and my scores show it. Let me introduce you to Grindworks, custom fitted irons that are made to fit your game. Grindworks offers players 3 different styles of irons. You can choose muscleback irons, cavity back irons, and even blades, along with some awesome wedges. And when you purchase your clubs, Grindworks lets you choose the type of shaft you want, the type grip you prefer, and even will adjust the loft and lie of your clubs if needed. That's unheard of. So what are you waiting for? Feel the power and experience and performance of these amazing clubs. Simply go to grindworksusa.com or call 281-651-4046 to order. Trust me, your handicap will love you for it. The revolutionary Power to Golf Club requires no swing to hit golf shots from 50 up to 225 yards. That's right, no swing. It's empowering golfers with physical issues to continue enjoying time golfing with friends and family. With just the push of a button, the easy-to-use Power to Golf Club launches shots down the fairway and onto the green. Whether a physical issue or just want to join in on the fun, the Power to Golf Club is for you. Visit online, powergolfclub.com.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
All right, we are back with more. Thanks for hanging in with us, everybody. We're having a great chat with Larry Klayman. And Larry, I want to ask you from a professional viewpoint, as a long-standing attorney, what do you think of this Trump trial? I only wish that you were one of the attorneys in court representing Trump so you could blast his judge. But what do you think of this trial?
In the words of Woody Allen, I always put this up with some of our podcasts, the courtroom scene from Bananas. When I sent this out, the thing, it's a travesty of a mockery of 2 travesties of a mockery of a sham of a travesty. That's what it is. I
love it.
And, you can see what's going on right now. This judge is corrupt. The New York ethics system for judges will not remove him because it is corrupt to the core. It's a very leftist state, New York. People are leaving in droves. It's even worse than California in that regard. And the judge gives jury instructions, which says that you really don't have to have unanimity to find that Trump committed a crime. It'll just be a plurality, right? That is totally illegal, totally illegal. No one knows what the crime is, so it's a violation of due process rights because no one's ever defined what it is.
Wow.
And they're throwing it up for a Hail Mary in front of a New York jury with a judge which literally is foaming at the mouth, in his zeal to get Trump convicted. And whether he's convicted or not, I'm not going to predict. Probably by the time this airs, we'll know. But the other thing is that this is our legal system. Don't make any mistake about it. This judge is not unique to our legal system.
Really?
He's one of the worst. But this is what I've gone through for most of my career with judges. This is why I started Judicial Watch in 1994. It's why I do what I do today at Freedom Watch, which is what I did at Judicial Watch when I ran that. And it is a corrupt system. And one other thing, Dennis, is that what you see with January 6th, you see this was an uprising, mostly peaceful protest. The election of 2020 was the trigger point, but the American people had seen just how corrupt our government had become, Democrat and Republican.
Uh-huh.
And so they protested that. Now, the reason that you now have a Biden Justice Department, which is going out in the biggest investigation in American history at the same time that we've got the threat of terrorism and wars and everything else in this country, and rounding up everybody up who was in Washington on January 6th, is to quell any dissent, to quell any objection. It's a message to the American people to keep them down. Do not question what we, the left, is doing. Do not question what Biden is doing. We will crush you. And so now you can see that gives license to judges like Merchant to violate the law, to become a total, excuse the French, whore, okay? And to feel that he's immune, that he will not be held accountable for what he there. Or for that matter, any of these other judges. Now, there are good judges. I would say 80% of the state judges that I'm in front of in Florida are very good. They're accountable to the people. They can be removed from office. The federal judges, by and large, there are very few that play it straight in cases like this. And of course, the state judge in New York and state judges in Washington, D.C. are just like the federal judges. They're politicized. They're a bunch of hacks generally. And I fight with this. I fight with this every single day. Now, it's frightening. One last point. What do you do if you're a society and you can't resolve your disputes peacefully and legally in court? What is the next step?
What is the next step?
It's violent revolution. We don't want to see that. We work hard at Freedom Watch to try to prevent that. But this is probably where we are headed, because there'll be enough people in this country, if Trump is convicted, or for that matter, even if he wins, in November, the left is going to be in the streets. They're going to be trying to tear this place down. They're going to make Antifa, the Black Lives Matter, and everybody else look like Mother Teresa, to coin a phrase.
Wow.
And so consequently, I'm telling people, don't be violent, okay? But you got to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Arm up, get ready, because the left is coming for you. And you can see it now. And January 6th was a warning by the Biden Justice Department, which is leftist, run by leftists.
Mm-hmm.
You do not question what we do, or we will throw you in prison. And if we want to burn the country down, we'll do it. And do not challenge us.
My, oh my, how things have changed, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, we live in a virtual dictatorship, Dennis. We do. Because if you raise your head, the left will try to cut it off.
Wow. Well, that's why I'm going to stay on the golf course, stay away from these people, and
Party on.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. I wonder, and we've been fortunate enough to have Patrick Reed on the show. We're inviting him on again, of course, because we'd love to have him on. But here's a man, 9 tour wins, Masters champion, numerous other awards, and I keep saying to people, he's just too good of a damn player to have to cheat, to get a score.
And he's a great father. And by the way, any of my comments are my own. Okay, they're not the comments of my clients. Okay?
Right.
But Patrick is just a good person, and he just wants to mind his own business and play golf. And that's why, even under the adversity that he faces, as well as his family, that he's able to function as well as he has. But if he had been left alone, he would have a lot more than 9 tournaments right now.
Yeah.
PGA Tour victories. Remember, he's Captain America and the greatest match ever played with Roy McIlroy, 2-time Olympian, honorary lifetime member of the European Tour. The DP Tour. I know him very well. I know the family very well. They are really good people, and they just want to be left alone.
Yeah. It's just absolutely incredible at some of the things that really he has endured and is still able to play golf, given, despite, pressure aside and all of that stuff. So tell everybody when your podcast is on and how they can hear it and tune in.
by the way, with regard to Grindworks that you just ran a commercial,
Yes.
I'm a golf club freak. Okay, so I've tried them all. Okay, I have sets of Titleist, I have sets of Callaway, I have sets of Mizuno, I have sets of Miura. Believe it or not, I'm gonna bequeath them to people when I'm gone. but our Grindworks are the best clubs I've ever had. I mean, they're softer than Miura, softer than
They're great.
Mizuno, and they are fantastic. And people should order them and try them.
Absolutely. I keep saying that every show. The best club I've ever hit.
Yeah, you're not. It's not exaggeration. It really isn't. You have to try them.
You got to try them. You got to go out and play with them, and you'll see these are really good. I really like these, and you got to try it. Absolutely.
Patrick designed them himself. How many golf club companies actually has a pro that designed them? In fact, the grooves are closer together to create more spin on the irons. And that. In any event, my podcast, you can see it at freedomwatchusa.org. freedomwatchusa.org. Sign up for our cause. If you like what we do, please contribute with tax-deductible contributions. We need the help. We need to get bigger to try to save this country, essentially.
Yeah, no, and you're doing a hell of a good job. Very good job. All right, so my next question is, when are you going to come out and visit us in Las Vegas and come in studio?
Well, I did a while back at the LIV tournament, but I hope to get there soon. My very good friend and client, Klayman Bundy, is in Bunkerville. We finally got that indictment dismissed. I have to teach Klayman how to play golf.
Yeah, exactly.
He can do it on horseback.
Yeah, but, or we'll go visit him or something. Yeah, but you got to come out. You got to come out.
I love Las Vegas. Really, I really, the people of Las Vegas are great. I'm not a gambler. I don't gamble, but the working people in Las Vegas are really special. And, and people are moving there in groves, and no income tax.
Yeah,
why not?
It's a good place. It is a very good place. Anyway, Larry, I'll let you to go. I know you're busy. Thank you for coming on the show again. Always great information. Our best to the Reed family. And we look forward to more conversation very soon.
Thank you. I always said you're a better interviewer than Barbara Walters was.
Thank you very much. I take that to heart. Thank you very, very, very much. All right, we'll talk to you soon. All right, everybody. Larry Klayman, good guy, good lawyer, good golfer, good show. Anyway, we'll step away again, take our last break. We'll come back, and we're going to finish up with the Golf Minute. Stay with us. Right back. The revolutionary Power to Golf Club is helping golfers around the world continue to enjoy the greatest game of all. This amazing club requires no swing to hit shots from 50 up to 225 yards. That's right, no swing to hit shots, including fades, draws, low shots, as well as high ones. One incredible club does it all. Golfers with a wide variety of physical issues, including bad backs, hips, shoulders, and more, are now back in the game golfing with friends and family. Just set the club to the desired distance, and with a push of the button, the easy-to-use Power to Golf Club launches shots down the fairway and onto the green. The Power to Golf Club has been endorsed by some of the biggest names in golf, and the number of golfers enjoying the game by use of our unique technology continues to grow. Whether a physical issue or just want to join in on the fun, the Power to Golf Club is for you. Don't be left on the sidelines. Get back in the game today. Visit at powergolfclub.com.
Carter Bonus of Spectrum Golf not slowing down. His third year at the PGA Show, and the cameras are still following him. This time, Whistle Sports Media and Entertainment and Fox 35's morning show in Orlando, Florida. Spectrum Golf Apparel, one of the few lines selected for the PGA Fashion Show, is designed with skin sensitivity in mind, like Carter's. Get your super soft golf gear today at carterspectrumgolf.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Silvers here for 8 News Now with another Golf Minute. We are at Eagle Crest in Sun City, Summerlin here in Las Vegas, and I'm with longtime teaching professional Tom Utzler. Tom, every golfer that plays around the golf is faced with this shot. trying to get the ball up and down from the fringe just off the green. What's your advice to help them do that, to make this shot easier?
Hey Dennis, I'm going to walk in from behind the ball and find an intermediate target where I want this ball to land on the green. I set up with the ball slightly back in my stance. I've got my hands a little forward, de-lofting the club face. I'm going to take it back slowly and then turn my body. Wow, Dennis, this Grindworks wedge feels great.
Tom, that was great advice. You've got some real talent, man. If I could do that, my scores would just bottom out. For the Golf Minute, I'm Dennis Silvers. We'll see you back next time. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. Been your host, Dennis Silvers. Appreciate you tuning in every week, and we will be back same place, same time next week with another great show. So until then, get out and play some golf, everybody. So long.